So we're at the state level here, and yet waiting for federal action or continued status quo. What has the response been from the federal delegation? We have 8 members of Congress, 2 senators. What have they told you?
Yeah, so I know particularly we've heard from our senators a real concern about the cost of care and the costs that our Minnesotans are gonna bear. We have heard not much from our Republican colleagues, which is unfortunate. But I think as people start to see the really big rate increases, I'm hopeful that our congressional members will listen and will take that into consideration as they're making their votes at the federal level.
So, Commissioner, are you seeing these impacts play out differently across Minnesota? Are there differences between consumers in the urban area, suburban area, regional centers, rural areas, or are there differences across different demographics?
Yeah, so just as in general, the individual market is made up of a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs, early retirees, and farmers. And so those people live in different places. Their ability to access healthcare is different. So if you're in the Twin Cities, you have a number of hospital systems. There's, this healthcare system just looks a little different than it does in Rochester, or Mankato, or even, up in International Falls, right? It's just different. So health insurance rates account for those differences, and they can account for them in a variety of ways. I think the places that we'll see big impact are particularly for people who have variable incomes. We hear from a lot of smaller farmers whose income can change really drastically from year to year. It's a challenging environment to be a farmer right now. I think those folks will probably have, they'll have to look really carefully at their options to understand what's available. But, and in addition, the kind of early retirees, those folks are the ones who we've seen a lot of benefit from the additional tax credits. And so it'll be different for every person. We really encourage people to go and shop and talk to the folks at MNsure to see what options are available. It'll be different, but it's not great news, particularly in the individual market.
One of the conversations that the state capitol among legislators has been reinsurance. Can you explain how that works and how that helps to hold down costs?
Absolutely. So this is one of the probably most frequent conversations I've had with legislators over my time in this job. And, I think in Minnesota, our legislators have taken really seriously the issue of increased costs, and they've really thought about it. What reinsurance does is it takes a pot of money that's a combined federal and state pot of money that and applies it to really high cost premium or claims. So if you are in an auto accident or you have cancer, it will help to fund that kind of on the back end. Then what the insurers do is say, we know we're going to get that money. We'll lower rates compared to what we would have, because otherwise we'd be paying those claims. The state and the federal government are picking up those claims. We can lower premiums. So it makes premiums lower for people on the front end by giving some money based on, what actually happens to people in an insurance company on the back end.
So that hasn't changed. That's still in effect for Minnesotans.
Correct. We've done a great job here in Minnesota of making sure that we're focused on costs for Minnesotans, particularly in the individual market. The legislators, across the aisle have taken this really seriously. And last year we extended the program again.